So I guess now we go to elevator up, elevator down. Who in the last, I guess in this case, 2 weeks has made a Hall of Fame case in their favor, and who has not?
Elevator up, elevator down.
I'm actually going to retract an elevator down
Okay.
from a couple months ago.
Not
He,
Lizzo.
hmm?
Not Lizzo.
Not Lizzo. Oh no, it's not Lizzo. Oh, we're tangenting out again. Cancel pool that we're gonna do eventually, where we're picking
Yeah.
people who are gonna get canceled. God damn you, Jimmy Fallon! You were my first pick, fucker.
I always sort of saw something about Jimmy Fallon. I don't actually know what he did. Don't tell me. I'll look it up afterwards.
Well, basically, he pulled a Lizzo, toxic work environment. You can fill out the rest later.
Yeah, well, because someone brought up the quote about Jimmy Fallon and Bossy Pants, which was a great book that Tina Fey wrote about how Amy Poehler was telling like a raunchy story to Seth Meyers, and Jimmy Fallon's like, "Don't do that, it's not cute," and she's like, "I don't fucking care. I'm not here to be cute. I'm here to do whatever." So everyone seems to like Seth Meyers. Jimmy Fallon has a lot of people who like Martin Short. Every time he goes on that show, just rips Jimmy Fallon for how much he sucks. So Martin Short rips on everybody, but I feel like he means it with like when he did that to Conan, I felt like he was joking along with Conan, and Conan was laughing along. I always felt like he meant it with Fallon. So
there was the thing. The reason I was going to pick him number one, I could say it now, because he should have got canceled for when his buddy Horatio Sands was getting canceled.
Makes sense.
So I'll let everyone look up that story, but basically, Jimmy Fallon was a major enabler on a Seth Rogen type level. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
But going back to the actual elevator, it's Bryce Harper. Harper's been playing the field again. He's playing some incredible baseball. I didn't want to say that I wrote him off, but I wrote him off as a possible Hall of Fame candidate.
We sort of did write him off, that he was just not going to get enough.
No, I wrote him off for the Hall.
For the Hall.
Yeah, not to not play for the next 10 years.
Yeah. No, we're just saying that the way he'd been injured recently, there was no way he's going to be able to compile enough numbers to get to where he needed to be.
Yeah, but he's looking a lot better than he was, a couple months ago. He's playing at first, and this shouldn't matter as much as it does, but that only helps his advanced metrics because there's only so much WAR you can accumulate as a DH.
That's true,
and that matters. Now, granted, I think if you put him on the same baseline as Harold Baines, then Baines. I feel bad ragging on Harold Baines all the time, but he's just not a Hall of Famer. But I would have been thrilled if he was my DH for 10 years. I think you would have felt the same.
Yeah, of course. God, I would have been thrilled if Candy Maldonado was my DH for most of the time he was in the league.
There's a name that'll never be brought up again unless he dies.
I loved Candy Maldonado. Candy, like players on other teams that I loved, that I just was like every time they're up, I'm like, oh, this is a problem. Candy Maldonado, Devon White, and Tony Phillips.
Oh, Devon White, I love Devon White.
Yeah, Tony Phillips with that weird batting stance, terrified me. Every single time Tony Phillips was up, that he was just going to do something that was going to crush my team.
I still remember the Garth Orge batting stance. He was he platooned at third base for the Jays for years. Just like that. The knob of the bat was sort of like looking. I don't know how he hit anything.
I used to actually, when I was we played a lot of wiffle ball, I used to have Pat Borders' stance intentionally because Pat Borders always had a space.
Yeah.
So I did I like the space between the hands for that. So I then started imitating his stance. A Boston kid imitating the batting stance of the catcher of the Blue Jays. But
maybe at that point you could grow the same type of mustache he had at the time.
Maybe at this point, I don't know. I just look real bad with just a mustache. My kids hate it. So
Tom Selleck, you're not, huh?
Tom Selleck, I am not in many, many ways.
Well,
I don't know. I haven't never really worn the short shorts. I might look good in those. I'm not sure.
But I don't know how we got here from Bryce Harper, but I've been Bryce Harper. I think is playing a lot better. I think also too, even though someone I just talked about recently, Giancarlo Stanton, who just hit home run number 400, he's not going to go back to the field. That's just not happening.
Yeah,
and a lot of that too is because I was watching another YouTube thing where they said, well, if the Yankees just held off a year, they could have offered that money to Bryce Harper or possibly Manny Machado, both of whom. So I mean, that's also, but that's neither here nor there. So
By the way, in terms of crazy stats, you know what team has the lowest ERA in the National League?
oh, let's see. Well, my first thought would be Atlanta or the Dodgers, but I'm guessing it's not.
It's the San Diego Padres.
That is interesting because it's
And
Blake
they're
Snell, Lugo, and then
yeah, they're 66 and 78, and their ERA is like 3.38. I saw that earlier today.
they're big. It's a fascinating team because even if you look at their overall offense, it's not terrible. I mean,
Machado.
Yeah, but Machado's his down year is still a better year than almost everybody else.
It's not like he's Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo's having an up year and he's hitting 199. So,
yeah. So yeah, that I don't know if this is necessarily an elevator up, but I pressed the button on him and he hit that fire alarm button or whatever you call it, the emergency. This is not so fast, Buckner. Maybe he's listening, and maybe I've inspired you. And if I did, you are welcome, Philadelphia. My elevator down, this is something very interesting. I said I'm going to talk about a quarterback's wife. And this is, I'm kind of doing a bit of mental gymnastics to get here. But here's the thing. If you're the wife of an athlete and you have a podcast, shut your mouth about what your husband says.
Yeah, fair. I have no idea what you're talking about, but that's pretty good idea anyway.
It's Kelly Stafford. And I think you said something about her because you were more in tune with that. Or maybe I think it was you. It had to be you, because who else would I be talking about this with? When they won the Super Bowl, and there was that thing where a fan just sort of like came up and then fell, and she just didn't seem to care.
I don't remember that, so it may not.
Okay, well, I might be off on that. It doesn't matter. Either way, what she did, for those who are not aware, look, just when a wife says something, it shouldn't get on ESPN front page. It just shouldn't. And what she shared was that when her husband comes home, he's basically frustrated because he's old. He's 30. Well, he's old by football standards. He's in his mid-30s. He sees a bunch of kids who are calling him sir. It makes him uncomfortable, and they're always on their phone.
Yeah, and he doesn't know how to connect with them.
Right. Don't say that. Do not put that out there, because it just makes Matthew Stafford's job that much harder. And the Rams are going to have a hard enough time. I mean, as we're reporting this, I don't know what's happening with the Rams-Chiefs game. And again, don't tell me, but
it's the Lions-Chiefs game.
Okay, but we're going into. And I was thinking about this.
It has ended, by the way.
It has ended. Okay, but I was thinking about this. Isn't it interesting right now that as we're starting 2023, people are more excited about Jared Goff than Matthew Stafford, and those two are always going to be linked.
Of course.
And I didn't realize that Goff led the league last year in TDINT percentage, which, there you go. I just redid my whole preseason football monitor, where I look at all the active players and rank them. Goff is barely hanging on. Stafford's there mainly because he got that one super, but he's accumulating a lot. This is going to be a hard team for him because the Rams are in rebuilding mode again. You've got a head coach there that is probably checked out, because I think there's the scuttlebutt, to borrow a word that you used, that he's sort of looking to go into the broadcast booth. And he can talk. Yeah. I mean, like he could be our generation's, or I guess not maybe ours, but this generation's John Madden. Super successful when they're young, won a Super Bowl, dynamic, charismatic. Not someone who is necessarily going to like kill it in a beer commercial, but Sean McVay's already been in some commercials. Sean McVay, if I'm him, and maybe sort of thinking like, this is my next path out. So if you've got a head coach that might be checked out, and I don't know this for sure.
Oh, Sean McVay is entirely checked out. It's not might be. He is checked out. He is out.
I was trying to give the benefit of the doubt, but
no, that guy is 1 foot out the door. Filling his contract. I'm not saying he's Steven Strasburg, go with Bryce Harper's old teammate. He's gonna be paid for 3 years not to play baseball. But he's not gonna be here long term. He'll see out the season and then he'll be gone.
Right. But a quarterback can't lose his team.
Right.
And if he's already having trouble connecting and now they all know that he's having trouble connecting, you can't help but look at him the same. When you're bringing all your problems with, that's something that your wife brought to work, it's not good. I will go to my deathbed saying that Ayesha Curry cost Golden State the championship against Cleveland because she couldn't keep her mouth shut. I will maintain that. And Curry was off. Steph Curry was off. Nothing against Ayesha Curry. I'm actually very impressed with them as a power couple. I love power couples. I think that's great. But she screwed up. And it
Like
caught.
Chris and Anna Benson.
Pardon me?
Like Chris and Anna Benson.
Or Steve Garvey and Cindy Garvey.
There you go.
No, I do. I legitimately like power couples.
Who were the two Yankees who traded families and wives?
It was in the early 70s, and believe it or not, for whatever reason, I don't remember, but somebody's got to do a movie on that.
Yeah.
But no, but to Aisha's credit, she never was quite the same on the Twitter machine or the X machines after that. Because if you're a husband and someone's making your wife a target, can you focus on your job? I can't. I know I couldn't.
Sorry, it's Mike Kekich and Fritz Peterson for the two
players.
1972, 51 years ago. So there you go.
If they would have shot this 20 years ago, they could have had Ben and Matt play that. I mean, like I don't know who the equivalent is now. I'm not as much into the pop culture 20-somethings as I used to be. It's the thing when you turn over. Exactly, but
I'll
yeah,
get with it.
For me, it created all this unnecessary crap that you don't need. And if anyone's thinking of being misogynistic, I will say the same thing for any female athlete. Husbands, shut the hell up.
Yeah, spouses, just be quiet.
Yes. Also, overbearing fathers.
Mm-hmm. So you're a big fan of the Ball family. I got that.
I will. Lamar Ball, though, he's got balls to try a bunch of shit, and I respect that. I do. I have a weird respect for him, in a different way. But that can be a tangent for another time. But yeah, that Matthew Stafford, I think, is going to have a really hard year. I could be wrong. I'm not cheering for him, not cheering against him. I'm just saying it's added some other additional pressure that he doesn't need. A team that I think might underperform, and we're not much from them anyway.
They are definitely in the top 10 picks of the draft list. I mean, I don't think they'll be number one because I think that the Texans, the Cardinals, and maybe even Tampa are going to be fighting for that. But they're in that 4 through 7 range, in my guess. 4 through 7, 4 through 8.
But strange things happen. I mean, the Bengals we didn't see that coming that early. And no one did. So yeah, that's my elevator down. I thought it was I wanted to sort of go a little weird way. Sometimes I take tangents to get there, but I always wind up in the elevator.
I get it.